Welcome back to the garage, ladies and gents, and of course, thank you so much for joining us. We're back on this old sporty project. Now we got to get into the top end of this engine, see if we can't fix all them crazy leaks that this bike has. We got a lot of work to do, so let's just jump right in and get busy. We're going to check to see if these push rods are adjustable. I seriously doubt it, but they might be. This is also, I think it's the last year maybe, or one of the last years, that Harley had these collapsible push rod tubes on the Sportster. No idea why in the world they got rid of them. Come on, get loose. There it goes. Well, that one's on there. I wonder if these have ever been off. Oh, that's the problem. These old O-rings are like seized on here. Well, they're all going to be replaced anyway. That's not a problem. Not a problem. There we are. Of course, not adjustable as I figured. We'll go ahead and pop them loose regardless. Now, you don't have to lift these up like this. Of course, if you've got a newer model Evo Sporty, you won't even have the ability to do this. I'll just show two ways that you can make sure that your lifters, or your rocker arms are all the way in the down position, your push rods are in the down position. You just keep pressure off of those valves. There's two different ways I like to check to make sure that there's no more pressure on these rocker arms or on these valves. If you've got collapsible push rod tubes, like on a Big Twin or these earlier model Sportsters, you can just pull those up. You can use the rear wheel. You can turn it, put it in high gear, pull your plugs. In this case, since I've got everything off, I'll put a ratchet on it. Makes it easy. I actually prefer to do it with a rear wheel. I think it's easier, but since we had to pull everything out. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to watch these as I turn it. And what I'm doing is I'm actually watching to make sure that these are down on the bottom, but you can also reach down here like this and turn it. So you want both of them to be able to turn. Like this one right here is turning, so there's no load on it. But we're going to keep going. So now this one's loaded up and this one's loaded up. So we're going to keep going. I can feel them moving. Still not there. Not there. I think we got it. And there they are. So both of them, I got oily hands, but both of them are now turning. Now you can pull these rocker boxes, the top and the centerpiece, without worrying about taking the load off of the valves. I've seen a lot of people online say you can't, but you can. I'll show you when we get into them. Oh, that was not tight at all. And that was not tight. Let me guess here with this one. Not tight. Let's see. Well, that one was a little in the hard to get to one here. Oh, look at that. Check that out. I don't even know if anybody even went back and torqued on this one at all. I also like to pay attention where these bolts come out of. Every bolt on here. These, it's probably not as critical, but I just like to. Take you some cardboard. You can use that to hold on to them or whatever it is, however you want to do it. Oh yeah, look at these. They're coming right off. Now these can be challenging sometimes. Oh, look, came right out right as I said it. Seems to be in pretty good shape. I'm looking for any cracks, because these can crack pretty easy. This is where you got to do maybe some, I was about to say redneck jiu-jitsu, but it came right off. So keep your eyes on the rocker arms right here. Of course, your push rods come up from below, make contact here, and then they in turn open the valves. But just watch them as I turn this engine. Right now they're both down. Now you can start seeing this intake one coming up. So that's now got a load on it. And there goes that one down, and then now our exhaust one's starting to come up. It's got a good load on it, and then it should fall. There we go, and that should be it. Now I can test it by turning down here. Yep, that one's free. and that one's free. They spin. You can get your fingers down in there and test as well. It's a little bit more difficult, but as long as you get those two down as far as they'll go, you'll be okay to pull this off. We're going to start with a small little socket cap or Allen screws first. And this guy right here is kind of hard to get to. Oh, look at, oh my gosh. Seriously? Look at that. Wow. That was just loose. It was hand, I can't believe that wasn't leaking. Well, I guess I got to believe it. Just kind of makes me wonder. Boy, every bike's got its own little quirks about it. The last one I worked on was full of a bunch of cross-threaded stuff that was just done wrong. And this one is either missing stuff or it's loose, but it's crazy. All I do is just take a piece of cardboard like this, kind of diagram everything out. Probably overkill, but it just keeps track of everything where it was. Now we're going to remove the 3 bolts that are down in here. They take a 7/16 socket. Kind of tricky to get to on this rear cylinder, but you can get in there. My ratchet will get in there. There we go. Got that one. That was also a little hair loose. And this one does take a deep well. Oh, that was not. Man, I mean, I don't know. Did somebody just... Did somebody take the rocker boxes off and just kind of, hand tightened everything? Look at that. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Now we just got these 4 bolts on the outside to take out. Let's place our bets. Is it loose? I'm going to say yes. Let's see here. Very loose. Wow. I mean, they were torqued a little, but wow. I bet I can loosen these up without even going to the other side. Let's see here. Yep, nothing. Nothing. Well, this one's got a little better on that one. For your push rods here, of course, you got your exhaust out here. You got your intake. They are different sizes. So when you take these out, I like to just take a box, something like this. Just mark it. I put all my push rods in there along with the covers, just so they all go back in the right spot. But you definitely do not want to get the wrong size push rod on the wrong valve. All right, there's an exhaust. And we can pull this out with it. There we are. There's our intake push rod. Ow, that hurt. And this guy should just come right out. Just like that. Gasket looks, let's see, James gasket. So these were replaced. I'm going to guess rather recent, to be honest. Somebody probably was working on it. Saw the rocker boxes leaking probably. Did a quick change, didn't even notice that the base gasket's leaking. But our surfaces look like they're in outstanding shape. So this shouldn't be a problem. Now we can go ahead and get this intake off all the way. These things can be, sometimes these intake bolts, I did loosen this one off camera, so I cheated, but these things can be very tight sometimes. They can be a pain. Oh, and I found a washer. I think it goes to one of the socket cap screws on the top, like these right here. It was in the head right next to the valve spring, so that's neat. That's another thing that should have caused a major problem when test driving. This guy is on there. There she goes. All right, intake removed. So we're going to repeat everything on the front rocker box and get that removed. I'm going to resist the urge to talk, so maybe we can knock it out pretty quick. So for the head bolts and getting these heads and cylinders off, I'm actually going to go by the shop manual for once, which is rare for me. But what it calls for is you want to loosen these in an 1/8 of a turn increment in a crisscross pattern. That way you're just kind of relieving the pressure off of this whole unit just a little bit at a time. Now, I've seen some guys that I think are pretty reputable online just pull these suckers on out without doing that. But we'll go by the book on this one because it's really not that big of a deal. It's just a simple little extra step. And also use a breaker bar. Trying to get an 1/8 of a turn with just a regular ratchet isn't going to work. So this way it just kind of helps you get good leverage on it. Good, those were actually tight. I was halfway expecting these to be loose. Well, that one's being a little bit of a pain. And this push rod tube on this side's still on because it was being a massive pain. So we'll just pull it off whenever we get this head off. We can get this head off. I forgot about this push rod tube right there. Is it gonna just come on? Oh yeah, she's coming on up. There we go. I can get this guy out. Oh yeah, coming on up. Boy, that made it a lot easier. That thing was a pain trying to get out before. So this is the surgery part of this operation. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to lift the cylinders up enough to get to the wrist pin. She'll come up. Oh, that base gasket sounds bad. But to get to that wrist pin clip, so I can disconnect the piston from the connecting rod and remove it with the cylinder as one unit. Now the fun part is getting this little clip in here. There's a clip that you got to remove before you pull the wrist pin, and it can be a pain. They make tools for it, of course, but you know, screwdriver. All right, almost got her, maybe. Oh, boy, this is... Sometimes these can take quite a while. Some guys, I've seen some guys do this pretty quick. Guess you do enough of them with a screwdriver. I think I got it. It's like a game operation. See, there it is, just like that. This is one of the few tools I've actually bought. It was cheap, of course, for pulling these wrist pins. Boy, this one's in here, man. We about got it though. Come on out. There you go. Now you can remove this up. Watch your studs. Watch your connecting rod. And there you go. Ooh, that's a tight one. Well, unfortunately, I had a bit of an oopsie removing the rear cylinder on this engine. Nothing's broken. It's nothing bad. I just kind of caused myself a little bit of extra work and a little bit more money I got to spend. But let's take a look. So we got ourselves a busy workbench up here. Got all our parts laid out. Even got our bolts out here, which means I got a lot of work to do up here. But what I did, or what I didn't do, was on these cylinders. So when I pulled these cylinders off, the idea was to pull the cylinders with the piston still intact. It's a real budget, easy way to do a gasket swap. I know a lot of people may not agree with it, but it's worked for me before. I know a lot of folks do it, and it really just comes down to preference and what you're comfortable with. Unfortunately, I got in a hurry with this one and she kind of popped out. And I went ahead and, of course, and pulled the front one out as well. So at a minimum, we're going to get these suckers re-honed. We're going to get new rings on them. And you know what? If anything, it's going to be a better service for this engine. So for me, I got quite a bit of work to do on these parts. We clearly need to clean them up because, you know, they're looking pretty rough and we don't want them to go back on like that. Also, our gasket surfaces, we got to work on them. If you've never worked on these base gaskets before, man, they are an absolute pain. It feels like you got to spend sometimes 40 days and 40 nights on them. So I'm going to do that off camera. There's no need to bore you guys with that. Well, guys, I'm actually off to a local independent shop. It's actually the same place that gave us some advice on the transmission. So super cool guy. He's actually going to help us on honing these cylinders. Now, I know honing cylinders is not complicated. You just buy the tool and do it. My experience is very limited, and yes, I could watch some videos and figure it out. But he's also going to give me a free lesson, and a free lesson is very valuable. So we're going to go take care of that, and once we get back, we'll figure out where we go from there. All right, guys, we had a great trip to the shop. The gentleman was able to help us out. Look, I've said it before. If you need help on your bike, lean on these local independent shops if you've got them near you. They're an absolute great resource. I mean, this guy's got about 30 years experience, and he was able to help us out for like next to nothing. And I got a free lesson out of the deal. You just can't beat that. One thing, unfortunately, we did notice, there were a few little, we'll just call them iffy spots on one cylinder. They weren't that bad. We both agreed just to let them go. I am not putting any additional money into this motorcycle unless we absolutely have to. That's the way I'm going to roll with it. We did order new rings for it. Those are probably going to take, what, 3-4 days or something like that to get here. So unfortunately, we're not really able to work on the engine right now. But what I'm doing, I'm going to clean this guy out, clean this case out really good. I got my fingers crossed our transmission part should be here today or tomorrow. And if so, we'll get right back with you guys, square that transmission away, and get it back in this case where it belongs. Well, I lied. This is not the transmission. We actually ended up getting all of our parts in at once. So we're going to go ahead and finish this engine up first. Then we'll get on the transmission. Actually glad we're back on the engine. Rather get this wrapped up before we start on anything else. At least it'll make me feel like I accomplished something. And I'm going to be getting some help to get these cylinders down over these pistons. So probably going to be doing that part off camera, just saying. But you won't miss much. And just like magic, got our cylinder on. Actually went on pretty smooth. When you're putting your cylinders on, make sure you get your base gasket on there first, because I almost forgot mine. That would not have been cool. Boy, these Cometic gaskets, they can be a pain sometimes to start. Let's see how this one goes. I think we're about there. Perfect. Outstanding. Actually got us some brand new head bolts. Man, these things are expensive, though, if you've priced them lately. Good grief. They are good to replace, though. When you put these head bolts in, there is a procedure in the manual for oiling the threads. I'm not going to get into it, but man, there's a lot of opinions about that on the interwebs. That's for sure. I guess like most things, right? So when you're torquing down your head bolts, pay attention to the instructions. Most of us, let's be honest, use aftermarket gaskets. I use Cometic. I think they're great. A lot of people say they're the best. That's what I go with. It's just my opinion is all. But they have actually a different torque sequence and numbers than factory. So this is where you don't want to pay attention to the shop manual, but look at their instructions. But I do believe that Cometic's instructions are easier than the shop manual. So there's that. Well, it's actually been a few days. Let's see if we can't get this front cylinder knocked out pretty quick. Of course, I probably shouldn't have said that, right? There, in there. This is probably going to be my next tool purchase right here if I keep doing these, keep tearing into these motors like I've been. Did I get it? Did I get it? I did. It is a Festivus miracle. Good. Just like the rear cylinder, we got her pressed on. No real dramas, actually. Like I always say, don't forget the base gasket. And there we are. All down. All good. All right. Ready for the front head. Helps to get the gasket on there first. There's one. There's two. Don't forget your push rods, or your push rod covers, or your gaskets before you get your rockers on. Now, I think I've mentioned it before, but your exhaust push rods, which is what I'm installing here, both your exhaust are on the outside, intake are on the inside. Seems easy enough. And your exhaust push rods are slightly longer than your intake, so don't get them mixed up. Now, if you're doing this on a 91 and up Sportster, I believe that's the years, unless somebody changed it, they will have non-collapsible tubes. So if you have the non-collapsible tubes, push rod tubes that is, covers, whatever you want to call them, you have got to get those on before you put the heads on. So they have to basically go on here and you set the head on top of it. Personally, if I forgot that and I already torqued it down, I would probably just order some collapsible tubes. That's probably what I would do. But that's just my opinion. Let's see if these are going to behave. This is another one of these things that one of these days I might actually get a tool for this. But screwdriver it is. Well, that's good. Make sure you scratch the chrome really good, like I probably just did. All right, there's one. That one went in pretty good. Can I go 2 for 2? That's the real question. Ow! I just answered that. There we go. Boy, the bike started moving on me. Did we get it? I don't know if we got it. There it is. Now she's on there. Good. 2 for 2. So now we're going to rotate our engine just like we did before. We just want to make sure. I think both push rods were in the down position, but there you can see the intake going up. It's going down. Here comes the exhaust up on the outside. That should be it. Now, of course, once you get these relaxed, just like when we pulled everything off, you can now get your rocker box on. One thing you can do to validate, you can pull the plug to see if you're top dead center over here on the case, or you can take a straw like this. This is just from like, some brake cleaner or something. Let's see. Yep. Piston's right there. Just as a validation, it can kind of tell you that you're at top dead center. But with that, we should be good. Just get that rocker box on. I think these rocker boxes personally can be more of a pain than getting the heads on and torqued down. Just my opinion. Now I did go ahead and remove the push rods, unless somebody has a trick out there to get this on there with them sticking up. I don't know of one. Make sure you touch everything on the frame like I just did. I think we got her in position. Get one of these just started. Now you don't want to start torquing this down until you get your push rods in. I think that goes without saying. I'm just going to put this here just to kind of hold her in place. The real question is, can I do this without getting someone to help me? Oh, this is going to be tough. There's one. That's the easy part. Can we get the second one? That one's in there. This guy here is going to be a pain. I can already tell. There we go. Beautiful. And also, when you pull all this hardware off, chase these threads if you can, clean them up. You can see how these are just going down in there with ease. That's what you want. You just want it to be nice and smooth. Give it every opportunity to seat like it's supposed to. And for these bolts right here, I go ahead and just kind of get them all started by hand, and just follow the shop manual, right? That's where all the info is. The one time I actually follow the shop manual. I guess I better make sure I'm on the right amount. And I am. And what I do, especially for these 4 main bolts right here, I'll just do them a little bit at a time and just kind of go around before I torque them all the way. Kind of like if it was a head. One thing I did have to do is I actually had to pull this entire assembly off because I forgot to put assembly lube at the top of the push rods. So glad I thought of that. Don't be like me. Don't get in a hurry, because that's what I did. And for the rest of these bolts, which can be kind of tricky to get to, you just kind of go around in a crisscross pattern. If I can even get the ratchet on it. Yeah, just go around in a crisscross pattern on these as well. And they are all the same, very light torque spec. Now for this cap screw back here, I am using just a regular old Allen key. I know some of you won't like that. I know they make tools for this, but these are about, I think the range is around 10 to about 13 foot-pounds, so it doesn't take much. And I actually do the top cover screws that go at the very top. Hence the top cover. By feel as well. I'll explain that here in a moment. This is usually the hardest part to get on. You got to remember the exact twister pattern that you're supposed to use. Well, there she goes. Just like that. These rocker boxes are in pretty rough shape looks-wise, but we will clean them and polish them. Probably should have done it when it was apart, but I can get them before we put too much back on the bike. Not that hard. Now this is probably going to be controversial for some, but for these last 4 little cap screws up here, I don't use a torque wrench. I just use a regular old Allen key, and the reason is these rocker boxes up here, they can crack very, very freaking easy. And also if you're running the paper gaskets underneath, I've seen those crack as well and just kind of disintegrate. So what I do is I take this and I'll go about 1/4 of a turn at a time, if I can even get to this one. I just go around in that same crisscross pattern until I'm happy with it. Don't crank on it. Like I said, I know some people may not like this, but it works for me. I've never had them leak. Now that means it'll leak, right? I'll just blame it on the rocker boxes if it does. Boy, this bolt right here, this one probably needed to be replaced. Well, I was getting everything ready for our front rocker box install and ran into a bit of a snag. Let me show you what we got. So fortunately, our problem is not with the actual rocker box itself. That's good, which is great because that stuff can get very pricey very quick. But our problem is right here with this guy, push rod tube, cover, whatever you want to call it. This one specifically is for the exhaust, so this would be the one on the very front of the engine. Now, if you remember when we were pulling this guy out, when we pulled the head, this one actually would not collapse. So I just kind of left it on there and said, fine, we'll just pull the head. I can pull it out that way, easy enough. Didn't think much about it at all. Now, one thing I did notice when we got the bike, again, didn't even think much about it, just like whenever I pulled this off the engine earlier, she's got a pretty nasty dent right there. So you can see something, for it to do that on the bike, it took a pretty good whack of some kind to cause that. So then as I was getting these parts cleaned up and ready to go, I got these together. This one goes down in here. And of course it's supposed to, it's supposed to collapse and go all the way down in. That's as far as it goes. That's unfortunate. So what's happening is this dent right here, again, that I noticed the dent. I didn't notice the problem it was causing. If you look down in there, you won't be able to see it on camera. It's got a little notch. So what's happening is that's just stopping it from going in. Now, you can actually take this. I could hit it and you could force it down in there. But then the problem is whenever you go to install it, you're not going to be able to expand this like you're supposed to, in my opinion, unless you take like a screwdriver or something and hit this. And there's no way I'm going to do that, because that's going to mess up the integrity of how this seats up into the head. And then you're going to probably going to end up having a nasty leak at that point. Now, one good thing is I did pull the push rod out itself, rolled it around on some glass. It's perfectly straight. So that is actually good to go, which is great news. Another thing on this guy too, if you remember when we first got the bike, it had a pretty nasty leak on the push rod. This push rod in particular, or push rod cover, I should say, not the actual push rod itself. So what I think happened is I think this was sitting in there like that. This sits like this. This little guy goes right here. And of course, your collar goes. You get it. You know how it works. I think it took a pretty nasty whack right there and it just kind of tweaked it. And I think, it's just my opinion, that is what caused the leak. Now, I did look at this. I did look at this when it was off the bike. This surface looks nice and flush to me. The head itself looks good, but I don't want to risk it. So what I did, I went ahead and ordered a set, actually a set of 4 used ones on eBay. I got those suckers for $23. So all we need is 1, but that gives me 3 extra sets at least to keep in the garage. Well, it's unfortunate we're not going to get the motor done right now, but these kind of things happen, folks. I mean, when you're dealing with these old projects, I mean, it could be a car, a bike, whatever. These little things are going to be hidden back there. They're going to rear their ugly head at the worst time, and you're either going to have to find a way to fix them, or you're just going to have to replace them. That's just kind of how it goes. Now, there's a lot of folks that view this channel. Believe it or not, 50% of our viewers are from outside the U.S., and thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. But some of you may not be able to get on eBay and get stuff quite as easy as we do here in the U.S., because most of these parts are going to be in the U.S. At least that would be my assumption. I could be wrong. But you could probably fix those tubes. I bet if you worked with them enough and got fresh O-rings on there, you could probably make them work. But you know what? For $23, I figured, why not? And plus, it gives me 3 extra push rod covers to have as spares. But with that being said, we are going to wrap this video up right here. I think next, we're going to get into either fixing this once and for all if we finally get our parts in, and we need to get to the transmission. Now, I've got the gear for the transmission. If I get this in first, we'll do that first. But, whatever, we'll figure it out. Main thing I want to do next is I want to get this motor done. I want to get this crankcase done and get this stuff at least sealed up so we can move on to some other things on the bike. But ladies and gents, even with these little problems that are hitting us here, it's not going to slow us down. We got plenty of future videos to come. So if you want to catch that content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, I thank you guys so much for watching. We'll chat with you next time.